What you're about to learn is gonna help your art so much. Whether you wanna be a professional artist or you just want better looking artwork, this is gonna be game changing. Welcome to Art Mentor, my name is Sean, and today you're gonna learn the skills and tools that professional artists know and use all the time, and now you can too as a digital painter, and it starts with this. So if you want a bulletproof way to color up your artwork or to add some more depth and layers into it, gradient maps are going to be the best thing for you. So let me show you how to use this because most people don't even know where this is or how to properly do this. So where they are in Photoshop, and you can follow along with me because basically every program is a copycat of Photoshop. It's going to be on the very lower right of your layers palette, and you're going to see the little half white, half black circle. Click on that and you're going to hit gradient maps, okay? And basically what you're going to do is you can click into the gradient that's going to show up there in a little bar. Now, as you can see, what this does here though is it just colorizes the entire thing, which looks absolutely terrible, doesn't it? And then you can go over to the layer blending mode and go ahead and switch that to color. Now, the real power in this lies in the fact that once you switch it to color, what it does is it will adapt to the entire artwork that you're putting it on. Those of you that like to paint in grayscale, you're gonna love this too. It's a much faster way for you to paint up your artwork. Now we wanna edit the gradient. So you can very simply just go ahead and click on the two options that it has, and you can also go ahead and just click anywhere in between, and then it will generate a new field for you to go ahead and put in a new color. So as you can see here, I did a little blue to orange to white, and what that does is it just adds a lot more richness to the actual character because she is the focus of this commission. But let's do this in a more complex setting and why this is prime and king for you. All right, so one of my favorite places to do this is definitely in backgrounds. I originally started out with this picture that I got off of a free stock website, which you can use totally ethically, and then I blurred it in the background. And then an easy way for you to totally recolor is by doing this. Go ahead and add a black and white adjustment layer, so then that way you are starting with a fresh and clean color palette, and then go ahead and add a gradient map. So as you can see here, I did predominantly just a nice blue gradient map because I wanted to contrast it with the character. And then I also just went ahead and I applied a little light source coming from the left to make it look like these fireflies are glowing. And boom, look at that, so much better, and it actually fits into it. But now it looks like it is a nighttime scene, and gradient maps allow you to do that. And hey, if you want to learn more about how I did this, I'm going to show you more tricks about this in this video. Now let me show you how to properly use one of the most misunderstood tools and one of the least commonly used tools, but it's one that you're gonna need to know as a pro. If you want to go ahead and very quickly, easily block in scenes, block in characters, block in whenever you're painting, then, my friend, let me introduce you to the lasso tools. Now, this is the most frequently commented tool that people cite in my artwork and in my speed paints, so I'm excited to teach you about it today. And you've got three different types of them. First, I've got your standard lasso tool, just like this, and it'll basically create an isolated area for you to work within or around. I'm gonna teach you a lot of things people don't know how to do this today. Then you have the polygonal lasso tool, and basically the way this one functions is that instead of you just starting and then releasing it, what you have to do is you have to click to create points and edges on it, and you can go all the way back to where you started. And then finally, so what the magnetic lasso tool does is that you click once, and then as you start to go around any object, is that it will intelligently figure out where things start and stop. Now that you know the three types though, let me show you things that nobody ever talks about and nobody really explains well about this because this is a boss tool that you should know how to use. Check this out. What this is really great for, as you see me doing it here and a few other spots, is I'm gonna go ahead and use this to create really hard shadows. So I'm doing this for the armor, and I'm doing this for the skulls, and I'm doing this for some of the tubes that are on his armor. This is the best way for you to get really nice, hard, crisp shadows that you don't have to paint in. You don't have to worry about any kind of janky little wobbly lines. Now here's some big secret sauce techniques I've never heard anybody talk about, but they've really been game changing for me here. So I'm currently on the face layer of this guy, and let's say I wanted to make that selection, but I wanted to make sure it never goes off the face. Here's something that you've never heard before. If I go ahead and I make that selection one more time on that right side of his face, and I'm gonna be really haphazard with it coming off of his face. So rather than me being real careful and matching it directly to his profile, check this out now. You can go ahead and you can hit Shift, Control, Alt, and then click on the layer that contains whichever part you're painting right now, which for me happens to be his head, and boom, look at that. It clips it exactly to where I want. I've never heard anybody talk about this, and I actually totally discovered this by accident. And this has been one of the best and easiest ways that I'm able to very quickly utilize selections exactly where I want to, exactly how I want to. How's that? Try this out. Here's what I'm gonna tell you about this. It's gonna take you a little bit of time to invest into learning how to do this and for you to develop some comfort level with it, but it is going to be massively game-changing for you, and so will this. If this video is helping you, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe for more tips and tricks. And if you want to grow a great art business, I'm the place for you too. And if you think this might help someone else, go ahead and share it with them too, especially as we learn about this. Next, are you really tired of drawn faces where one side looks good and then you got that wonky eye thing going on the other side? You know what I'm talking about, right? Or let's just say that you're trying to mirror something and it's just not working out well. Well, my friend, you got to start to use your symmetry tools a lot better. So check this out. I think that people oversimplify this, and I want to teach you how to do this right in any application and to expose you to some of the things that not a lot of people know. Check this out. So in Photoshop, whenever you select the brush tool, you're gonna notice up in the top part of the panel, you're gonna notice a little butterfly. And once you click on that, you can then access the symmetry functions. A blue bar will appear just like you're seeing right here. So basically what you would want to do is position this dead in the center of whatever you're trying to mirror. Now, as you notice, whatever I draw on one side, it will perfectly mirror it on the other side, which is very neat. So let me show you some amazing applications of this because most people aren't doing this as much as they should or could. Check this out. So check out this example right here. I did this entire Dungeons and Dragons battle map strictly with the symmetry tool as you're watching me do it right here. This made my life so easy because literally whatever I did to one side, boom, it would show up to the other. I did this with the line work, I did this with the sketch. I also did this when I colored it too. Now, one thing that I definitely recommend that you do though, especially if you're doing big scenes like this, is you gotta learn when to turn it on and off, okay? So there are certain components that are on one side that aren't on the other. I did purposefully want some asymmetrical components to it, so make sure that you're just toggling that as needed. Let's show another application. So here's a great application for anybody that does portraits, especially if you're just practicing, especially though, if you have any subject that's just boom, straight on for you right here. No longer do you have to worry about one side going up and one side going down, or one side looking great and one side's all droopy and melty and looking crappy, right? So you can definitely utilize these symmetry tools in order to very quickly and easily go ahead and do that. But we're not done yet. Here's one way that I've never seen anybody really talk about, but I do it all the time. So basically, she's got this repeated tree design, this motif that's going to be in several different spots. So check it out. I'm gonna use the symmetry function right here just to make it once. And then, as you see me doing right here, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna actually just copy it several times, and then I'm gonna hold control, and then that allows me to therefore warp it into the perspective that I actually need. So for those of you that have repeated designs, repeated motifs, just repeated images, don't draw them so many times. Don't try and use all those beautiful brain cells of yours to try and frustratingly figure out how does that look. No, friend, just go ahead, make it once, and then duplicate it, and then hold control, grab the edges, and you'll be able to warp it. Isn't that so easy? No one ever talks about that. Now, I know that clipping masks are all the rage nowadays, but did you know that it's not the best for a lot of applications, and that there's a better way to do what you want to do? Check this out. So let's go back to this guy right here. I want to teach you the difference between clipping mask and layer mask, and why layer masks are actually what most of you should be using more often. But if you want to do a clipping mask, here's how it works. Now let's say I want to add a little bit of darkness onto this guy's armor. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt and right in the space in between both of those layers, and thus it will establish a clipping mask. So now what will happen is that it will immediately snap, as you see me painting in right here, it will snap anything I paint only into that selection. But what if there's a better way to do that? And what if there's a way that you can amend it? Because there's a lot of limitations to clipping masks, and here they are. Number one, they're beholden to exactly what the shape is. Number two is that you can't re-edit them. And here's where layer masks come into play. So looking at this beautiful boy right here, I want to go ahead, I want to create more contrast in him. And here's an easy way to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer on top of this fella. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint in just some darker desaturated blue for some contrast. I'm going to set that blending mode to multiply on that layer too. And I'm going to do it all over him. Now, as you can see, that clearly looks like absolute garbage. And now he looks like he has been completely fried, right? So this is where layer masks come into into play. So when you create a layer mask, what you want to do is you want to select the layer like I have right here, and then you want to go ahead and in the bottom of your layers palette, you're gonna see a little square with the circle inside. That creates a layer mask. Now you're gonna notice that established a new little thumbnail image of a white square right next to the layer in your layers palette. So what that does is make sure that you have that new layer mask section of your layer selected. And what this does is I'm gonna use a soft round brush, and check this out. I can easily edit it, take away, and add to it. So if I paint black into any space right here, it will mask it out. And essentially, that means that it's going to take it away from it. But let's say that you did this a little too hard, like oopsie daisy, I wanted to get it back up in there. Go ahead and just switch them. You do this quickly, you can just hit X on your keyboard like a pro, or you can hit the little double arrow right next to your swatches. And what that's gonna allow you to do is when you paint with white, now you can see me able to paint that back in. So this is a quick and easy way for you to add and subtract from your areas so that you don't always have to paint and erase, paint and erase, paint and erase, paint and erase. Now you can also very easily utilize this with any adjustment layers too. So here, take a look at this book cover that I recently did. I love how these three characters in the front look great. However though, I really feel like the guy that's in the middle coming out of the water here, I think he's a little too dark. So I'm gonna make a levels adjustment layer onto him, and I'm gonna slide him so that he's a little bit lighter, which he should because he's further away from the foreground. And you'll notice that anytime that you make any type of adjustment layer, I'm gonna show you how to create these and how to do these way better than what you've been taught in the past. You'll notice that that's gonna fly out with its own layer mask. So selecting that layer mask, I'm now gonna mask him out where I want him to be a little bit lighter. So then that way he contrasts a little bit less with the main characters in the foreground. And boom, check that out. How easy was that? So you can not only do this with paint, but also adjustments too. Now I do need to give you a couple little caveats to doing this. Whether you're using clipping mask or you're using layer mask, my friend, be warned here. You have to watch how many times you're doing this, because the more layer mask and clipping masks that you use, the much larger and grander your file size is going to be, which means inevitably it's going to be more taxing on your machine. So what you should do if you're using a lot of clipping masks is this: you need to merge them down after a while. Like if you're comfy with how it looks after like 20 minutes to an hour, just merge it down, okay? Layer mask, same thing too. You can go ahead and you can merge it together. So I'm gonna guess that most of you are just a big giant colony of jumbo shrimp, right? And when you draw, you're leaned all the way over, and then you can't even go that long because why? Because your back hurts. And what's gonna help you majorly do this, my friend, is gonna be when you start to use one of these. Now I'm gonna tell you how this is gonna work because nobody else has ever done it. And to help with that too, XP Pen is sponsoring this video as well as this lovely Artist Pro 14. And I can't wait to tell you all about this and how you can use this to have a much easier drawing experience. Check this out. Now, if you've ever gotten any XP Pen products, you'll know that unboxing this is a complete and total joy. Like just the fact that they throw in everything that you're going to need. I mean, look at this case. This thing is gorgeous. Look, click right there and it all slides out. You get this wonderful, beautiful aesthetic case. And look at that, it just slides right back in. Think about how great that'll look on your desk. And then let's talk about this amazing drawing surface. 16,000 points of pressure sensitivity for all your amazing digital art goodness. And then also too, one thing that's really cool is check out the back. It's got the kickstand built into it. This is so time-saving and awesome. No longer do you have to fumble around looking for that stupid stand that some of them come with, or heck, some of them don't even come with. They're way more expensive than this thing. As soon as I took this out of the box, I put it right next to my Wacom tablet, and I noticed this. This thing has got the same drawing surface as my Wacom, which is hundreds of dollars more. But now to save your back, this bad boy is gonna change your life. These things usually retail for like 50 to a couple $100 easy, but this is actually thrown into this product. So when you get the XP Pen Artist Pro 14, it's gonna come with an express key. And here's how you're gonna use it to save your back. Weirdly, I've never heard this discussed. So here's what you wanna do. Instead of y'all leaned over with this thing, sitting on your tablet screen or sitting on your desktop, no friend. Look, this thing is meant to go in your hand. So therefore, what you should do is you should use it in your hand. Have this thing so that you can very quickly and easily move it, and you can click the buttons however you want. And the big advantage to this is that you can actually sit up straight, and so that you can actually not need to lean over as much. Y'all don't have to stroke a keyboard as often, which is such a big time saver. Now, if you also want to level this up too, you can go ahead and just grab a quick tablet stand like the one I have right here. It's real cheap and easy, but this is going to be it. So XP Pen, thanks so much for your kind sponsorship, and thanks so much for one of these too. And now you're gonna thank me as soon as you know this. Now you may have heard of the Liquify tool or done some really silly things to some pictures in the past, but let me show you a more professional way to do that. And there's so many applications of it that are great, just like this. So here's an example that I made for one of my mentees in my mentorship. So I used the Liquify tool to show him, how do you quickly adjust this? So where do you get this and how do you use it? Check this out. So what you wanna do is you wanna go up to filter, and then you're gonna hit Liquify. The best thing is the forward warp tool, which is W on your keyboard. And what that very basically allows you to do, as you see me doing here, is I can grab something and I can push it and I can move it. Then you also have the pucker tool, which allows you to very quickly shrink anything. And lastly, the bloat tool, or letter B, and that expands things, okay? But that's not the real power here. Check this out. So let me ask you a question. Do you find that your characters suffer from same face syndrome? I'm gonna use this face to make several other versions of her. So you can very easily use the Liquify tool in order to get more diversity amongst everything that you're doing, so that you get a lot more range of different shapes and different sizes and different structures to the face. And yeah, like as you're watching me do this, there's some silly things here, but just imagine how this could create more unique characters, more memorable characters. Even characters, if you're like, man, my characters are always too pretty. Okay, cool. What can you do for that? Like if you have like a knight, for example, that's supposed to be like this big, awesome, bulky dude that fights a lot, like maybe he's got a broken nose, maybe he's got a bit of a dented chin. You know, you can do all that stuff, and the Liquify tool can help you with that. Here's another great application for it too, especially for your line art. So as you're doing line art, I just want to let you know, you don't have to redraw everything. Check this out. So as we take a look at this, here's the first version that I sent off to my client, and inevitably I had this epiphany after I sent it off, of course, that, man, I don't like that eye right there. Oh God, what did I do? So easy fix though with my friend the Liquify tool. So what I just did here, as you can watch me, is I went ahead and I used the Liquify tool just to move it over and just to bend and curve it, because it wasn't bending on the face, it was just randomly straight. So y'all that are really big into line art, you should use the Liquify tool. Using this will save you hours, trust me. Now, do you love to create a great mood, great feeling, great atmosphere? You're gonna love this one. So here's how we can create some color corrections, and check this out. Check out this character again, you remember her? That I wanted her skin tone to not be green. So using your color adjustments is going to be the best way to do this. Check this out. Go ahead and go to your adjustments palette. And then here, what I'm gonna use is my hue saturation layer. Here's the real secret sauce, is if you go ahead and hit this box for colorize, now you can go ahead and you can move the hue slider to get her to any color that I want. What I can do is, let's say that I want her to be like purple, right? Well, this purple is a little crazy. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna move the saturation slider so that she'll look a little bit more normal. I've seen so many people not use this. It's crazy. Really easy way for you to go ahead and recolor something really fast. Now check this out, I'm also gonna do this on her clothing as well. Let's say I don't want it to be brown now with this. Let's say I want it to be black, like a bluish black, boom. Anytime I do a hue saturation adjustment layer like this, it's going to create a layer mask. So I wanna bring back into this a little bit more of that rim lighting that I had originally, that orange rim light. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mask it out now with a nice soft round brush, and boom. Check that out, isn't that so easy? Here's another way that you should use adjustment layers. Check this out. Now in this book cover illustration, I like how it turned out, but here's the thing. I don't really love the mood of this. I wanted this to look like it's a little bit more of a miserable point in this party's journey. So here's how I'm gonna do this. So in Photoshop, you can go ahead again under the adjustments palette and you can hit photo filters. Now listen, photo filters are the bomb that I don't see a lot of people use, so now you should. So with this one, I did a cooling filter, and what that does is, man, that just boom, brings down the mood. It brings down the atmosphere a lot more, doesn't it? Like, look. And furthermore now, as you see me doing here, I'm just masking out certain selections because I want that main character in the front with the bow to really stand out. And you can do this too now that you know how to use layer masks like a pro, right? Using the right adjustment layer will save you hours of time. Trust me, me, I wish I knew this earlier. All right, so how do you like that rim lighting, and how would you like to learn how to do it really easily? Check this out. Now I gotta thank, first off, Mark Brunet, who taught me how to do it. In this video, I'm gonna do a little bit more of a detailed demonstration on it. So check this out. I wanted to create a really great, strong blue rim light on this character, and I did it before just using regular layer painting, but I could do it better, and here's how you're gonna do it. So I'm gonna choose a very light, not white, but very, very light blue. I'm gonna use a small saffron brush, and I'm just gonna paint in right here. And then I'm gonna switch the blending mode on that layer, because I made a new layer for this. I'm gonna switch that to hard light. Go ahead in the bottom right of your layers palette, click on the FX icon and hit outer glow. So now what you wanna do is you wanna select a more saturated blue on there, and then you're gonna hit OK. And now you're gonna switch the outer glow blending mode either between hard light or color dodge. I tend to find work best. Just go ahead and do yourself a favor and just screenshot or write down these values that I have for the opacity, the noise, the spread, and the size, so that everything works really well for you. Or hey, just take a screenshot of this. So now that we've applied that, check this out. I can go ahead and I can paint this in across all of this, as you see me doing right here, okay? And the best part about this is that now it adds a realistic, great outer glow to this on top of the nice values that I had previously done. Isn't that insane? So much better. Use that from now on, because it's game changing for me, and it's gonna be for you too. Now, I want to unleash upon you an amazing tool that nobody ever talks about and nobody really teaches you how to do, and you've probably been extremely confused because you accidentally picked this thing up. So let me introduce you to my friend, the mixer brush, that you probably have no idea about, so here's why you should. So to demonstrate this, I went ahead and just made this really basic landscape. I use it all in separate layers. I recommend you construct something like this. Now, where you're gonna find this is directly under the brush tool. It's all the way at the bottom of your available brushes. Now, one of the things I first and foremost wanna be able to do is I wanna be able to paint up this grass, and I wanted to make it look a lot more painterly. But in order to do that, I gotta use a brush. So if you right click and I just go down here to my normal brush that I wanna use, from the mixer brush that I already have selected, you'll notice, boom, it just switches right back to the regular brush tool. That's a pain. So here's how you're gonna circumnavigate this, friend. And you're gonna go ahead and select the mixer brush tool yet again, then right click anywhere to select a new brush. And before you click on that brush you actually wanna use, hold Control, Alt, and then click it. And that converts that brush into a mixer brush, okay? That is a very well kept secret for whatever reason. Now you know the workaround. Now, before I get started mixing anything, I'm just gonna lay down using my basic grass blade brush. Just go ahead and put in a few different colors, a few different values. I'm gonna add in some blues from the sky too. In using the mixer brush, here are some other settings that you need to make sure that you have. So right up at the top here, you're gonna notice that there are a couple icons that I have selected right now, which is first off, load the brush after each stroke. And then the other one is clean the brush after each stroke. Make sure both of those are selected, my friend. Now look, for the mixer brush settings, you can see there's a whole drop down of different things. Experiment with it, my friend. But listen, the best way to do it is just go ahead and just use custom. Please feel free to, again, to go ahead and either screenshot or just write down these values that I've gone ahead and put into there, because I've just devised over my time working with this brush that this seems to work the best for me. Now that I've got that going, check this out. Now I can use this brush to kind of blend in between. As I'm doing this, is I'm just grabbing a color using my Alt key just to select a different color every time. You'll notice that it's starting to blend it back and forth. And the way I recommend that you do this, especially if you're working in a landscape, is just like this. Start in the back, work really small in the brush, and then as you come forward with it, start to layer it and start to also make sure that you're using a slightly bigger brush. Again, this is my own custom brush, but like, it's nothing special. You can do this yourself or use any brush that you currently have. But using the mixer brush basically activates the pigments as if they were pixels. And that's why you'll notice that it says wet, load, mix, and flow. Those are all terms that we use in traditional painting. This is a really awesome way for you to very quickly paint things in without you having to manually use brushes and play with opacity settings, so that it will just, as you're painting, it's just blending it all together. Try it out for yourself, because this is gonna totally level up so many things. I've also seen people do this, by the way, on portraits too. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. Now, the best, most important thing that I think all digital artists, all digital painters need to know how to do, because it'll totally level up your game, is photo textures, and specifically how to do this with photo bashing in the most ethical way possible. So check it out. As I started off with this guy right here, I then use this to level them up to here. And check it out, in this original character design that I did, I started off here and then boom, I photo bashed in the entire background. And so many artists are never taught how to do this. And it's really sad to me because it's actually a really great way to just instantly level up, texturize your artwork, and complexify it with great details. If you want to learn how to do this, go ahead and check out this video right here. It's going to teach you everything that no one else has ever taught you before. See you next time.